Are Liverpool genuine title contenders? The result against Wolves was very, very impressive from Liverpool. And so far this season, they've won every single game except one to Nottingham Forest. They've looked absolutely imperious. I'm very, very impressed with multiple facets of this Liverpool side. They're currently top of the table. They've got an 11 that is, obviously basically fully fit. They all know exactly what they're doing, and they're able to create a rhythm that I think Man City is still struggling to find for obvious reasons. And Arsenal are as well a little bit. I think this Liverpool side are far more dangerous going forward than Arsenal. I really do. We can obviously debate the defensive qualities of Liverpool, particularly with that Wolves goal this weekend and the Nottingham Forest loss as an example. But ultimately, this Liverpool side rack up against some of the world's best in terms of the options they've got from the bench, their midfield quality, what the manager's doing, in my opinion. They're very, very strong. I think they're completely underrated. They're top of the table. And all this noise that you hear about the Rodri injury, about Arsenal, how much pressure is on Arsenal. Sometimes in Premier League football, you can see that when the pressure's on one side or there's an incumbent that maybe it's a little bit heavy for Man City to win 5 in a row, there's so many examples where a club can come out of nowhere and just gain momentum and win the Premier League title out of nowhere. I remember a couple of Chelsea sides did it when maybe Arsenal were considered favourites, Man City were considered favourites, and Jose Mourinho's second spell at Chelsea, maybe a good example where he took them from a relatively average position and they won the Premier League out of nowhere. If you can get up ahead of steam and be a little bit under the radar and it turns into December, January, Liverpool could have a decent stretch at the top of the Premier League table. I'm not saying it's likely to happen. There are some big games for Liverpool, and Liverpool have to address their defensive instability at points against the likes of, they've got Chelsea coming up in early October, obviously in the Man City games, the Arsenal games, but what I'm seeing for 90% of these Liverpool results, it's really impressive. And Arne Slot deserves a massive, massive amount of credit for even keeping this Liverpool side as kind of high as they are. I mean, above Man City, above Arsenal, and they deserve it. Against Wolves, there was a couple of observations. First one is obviously the Konate mistake for the Wolves goal, which alludes to still defensive susceptibility to conceding cheap goals, which I think eventually Arne Slot will iron out. I think that's the thing that takes the longest. When a manager comes in, it's quite easy to keep the kind of the free-flowing football that Jurgen Klopp had, but to kind of get defensive organisation on the training ground, it's going to take a little bit of time. And I actually think Konate still had a great game. Very important, obviously, for the first goal for Liverpool. I think he's been good all season, to be honest. His distribution. I remember the assist, I think it was for Diaz against Bournemouth the week before. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. But this Premier League, by the way, is going to be a lot lower in terms of points total. It's going to be a lot more even than previous seasons. I don't think Liverpool, if they want to win the Premier League title, need 95 points. I really don't see it. It was obviously low 90s last season. 90 points for City, 91 points. I think this season, 89 might win it, 88 might win it. I think the three sides could take chunks out of each other in a similar way to last season. But obviously, the likes of Rodri, the likes of De Bruyne were able to take City that kind of extra 2-point gap above Arsenal and above Liverpool. And I think Liverpool, when you actually deep it, if City keep getting injuries, particularly to De Bruyne as well, which is almost as concerning as Rodri, he's not fully fit, then Liverpool have got maybe as many world-class players in their prime as Man City. Now, Man City have got a better bench for sure, and you'd say Arsenal got a better defence. But Liverpool, you look at Trent was fantastic against Wolves, very, very important for that penalty. Salah's been in world-class form. Diaz has been their best player. We're going to talk about all these players. Ryan Gravenberch, Van Dijk, the keeper, Alisson, still the best keeper in the league. You're looking at 5 or 6 players that Arne Slot can rely on to build a Premier League title challenge in a very valid way, in my opinion. Let's just talk about what I saw from the Wolves game. Now, Wolves are rock bottom of the table. Their confidence since the back end of last season is absolutely shot. But they're still decent. I don't think they're going to get relegated. I think they're just starting slow, a bit like Everton. And they put a lot of pressure on Liverpool. So they equalised with Ait Nuri in the second half. They put a lot of pressure on, had eight or nine shots, 4 or 5 big chances against Liverpool. And against Liverpool at home, they've always been decent the last few years, put a lot of pressure on. It's a hard place to go, Molineux. I actually saw something in Liverpool where they were able to kick up the gear, go to a different level when Wolves equalised, and they put so much pressure on Wolves in those final 20 minutes. Obviously, the penalty came in as well, very well taken by Salah. But the big one for me is, obviously he didn't get a goal or assist. He's not going to get maybe the plaudits in the same way, but it has to be Ryan Gravenberch, man. I mean, definitely on this channel, I question the validity of playing McAllister and Gravenberch as a double pivot against big sides or sides that are very, very good on the counter-attack, because I think there will be spacing behind. I don't back either of them defensively, but I think there have been Liverpool fans calling me out a little bit when I've said that, because you get so much positivity in terms of what they do on the ball, so much control, so much guile in midfield. I mean, Gravenberch is intercepting things, he's reading the game, he's linking up play exceptionally well. His pass accuracy is off the chain. I mean, he barely misses a pass. He's got this kind of languid kind of Diaby, the kid who used to play for Arsenal, Yaya Toure kind of quality about him. He kind of glides through the midfield. He was nutmegging people at Molineux. It was kind of, it was almost like FIFA Street 2 at points for Gravenberch. He's got so much technical ability, and he's been absolutely, he's been fantastic. When you think about Liverpool, in these kind of games under Jurgen Klopp, at points, I think the reason maybe they didn't win as many league titles as possible, obviously we could talk about Man City's brilliance, however you want to say it, but also I think Liverpool too many times surrendered possession, too many times we're happy to go end to end and make it a bit of a dogfight, and obviously Liverpool won most of the games when they did that. But against Wolves, I saw a little bit more possession. It reminded me a little bit of the Ipswich game at the start of the season, where Liverpool were able to address the issues where Wolves were able to get at Liverpool. And Liverpool, at big moments, were able to just keep the ball a little bit slower, a little bit more side to side, which I think is so important in modern football, particularly with the amount of games that Liverpool will inevitably end up playing. I think that little side-to-side ball that McAllister is great at. The little link-up with Szoboszlai was fantastic, and Szoboszlai has this kind of license. He probably should have scored in the first half to go on and be creative in his own right. I still think they're going to have to address defensive susceptibility. They've got this massive game coming up in October, where I think if they beat Chelsea convincingly, which I think they've got more than the capability of doing, I think they really are in a title race. I really do, because Chelsea for me are in-form side. That game's in 20 odd days, and if Liverpool just bully Chelsea and just completely pull away from them in terms of quality on the pitch, that will be the first big marker for this Liverpool side. The Man United game isn't. 6 games in isn't necessarily. Another international break getting in between what Arne Slot's doing and the results on the pitch is also a bit of a hindrance. But having Chelsea rock up at Anfield last season decimated them. I think it was 4-1. They've got a very, very good record against Chelsea. If they were able to put this kind of form that I saw against Wolves to the test against Chelsea and get a big win, that would be a massive marker for me. And the other thing has to be, Man City still doesn't, Guardiola, Man City still don't know the outcome of the midfield dilemma for Rodri. We don't know if it's going to be Kovacic, Rico Lewis, John Stones. And at that point, City could still drop quite a few points and put a massive amount of emphasis on what Arsenal are doing. And of course, Liverpool. I have to talk about the forward line for Liverpool as well. It feels like everyone's chipping in. Cody Gakpo was decent against Wolves. Jota was decent. I think he's the one that put the ball in for Konate. But Luis Diaz, I think he's got 5 goals already this season. He is out of this world. He is out of this world. He is at the level that a lot of people thought he would be. I think it took him an extra year because of the injury, but he is changing games. His pace is devastating. He was incredible. He was electric against Bournemouth last week. And against Wolves, absolutely fantastic. And he is now in that world-class category for me. I really do think he's top 4, top 5 left wingers in world football. So you think Salah's passing the torch on whenever he leaves. And you think you've got Salah and Diaz and Jota all playing together, and you can rotate with Chiesa, with Nunes. It's outrageous, and Cody Gakpo as well. I think the squad depth for Liverpool is fantastic, and I think what I'm seeing on the pitch is very, very impressive. They're currently top of the table. 1 loss, fine, but no draws. They're winning. They're keeping the ball better. If they can keep up, if they can tighten up the defence, your defence is winning you titles. December, January, February. They're going to be a major, major force. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you very, very soon.